Lack of rain, heat waves, and a critical drop in groundwater levels threatened of imposing even stricter restrictions on water use in many European countries. Looking back at least the last 500 years, there have not been such extreme droughts as this year. Extreme heat is emptying reservoirs and drying up rivers in Germany, the Netherlands, France, Spain, Serbia, Portugal, and other countries. The so-called hydrological landmarks, popularly known as hungry stones, have become visible on shallow rivers. For example, at the bottom of the Elbe, which originates in the Czech Republic and flows through Germany, a centuries-old boulder appeared on which the inscription in German, "If you see me, then weep," is clearly visible. The inscriptions on the stones list the driest years in history, as well as inscriptions that warn of the dire consequences of drought. 2/3 of France's regions have declared an agro-industrial crisis. For most rivers, lakes, and ponds, the situation is critical. The country's longest and most full-flowing river, the Loire, has completely dried up in some sections. Residents of Orleans can easily pass it by the shallow riverbed. In Toulouse, you can wade across the Garonne, and the flow rate of the Rhône is 40 to 50% lower than before. The river water is now much warmer than usual and can no longer cool the reactors of nuclear power plants. Energy companies are forced to stop or noticeably reduce the capacity of nuclear units. Since August 12th, 93 departments in France have imposed various restrictions on the use of water, for a violation of which a fine of up to 1,500 euros is imposed. In almost 100 localities, the pipes are empty or the water is considered unsafe. Local authorities urge people to save it in every way possible. Against this background, the decision of the authorities to make an exception for watering golf courses seems incomprehensible, which begs the question, is everything okay with the current format of society? In the departments where the highest red level of danger is declared, water is allowed only for cooking, health needs, and to extinguish fires. By the way, there are several large fires and dozens of small fires active in the country at the moment. Since the beginning of the year, much more territory has been burned in France than average of the last 15 years. In neighboring Spain, uncontrolled wildfires also continue to rage, and the total water supply in the country's reservoir has dropped to a historic low of 39%. In Italy, the largest lake of Garda has swallowed to historic levels, and due to the drying up of the Po River, a state of emergency was declared in the northern regions. Several municipalities have already announced water rationing. Residents of Great Britain are also urged to use water only for urgent needs, as more than half the country is experiencing an unprecedented drought. The world is already divided into those who are desperately short of water and those who still have it. According to UN data, humanity needs to wake up to the impending water crisis. And this is despite the fact that nowadays we know how to extract water even from the air and even in the most arid region. To learn more about the technologies at hand, watch the forum. Global Crisis. We are people. We want to live. The climate is becoming more and more unpredictable, and now, any of us can find ourselves in the epicenter of a natural disaster. Unfortunately, videos of streets with turbulent streams of water and cars floating on them are already becoming a familiar sight to us. But there are people's lives behind each of such events. North and South America. On August 13, 2022, in the Mexican border town of Nogales, Residents were taken by surprise by a sudden blow of a natural disaster. Stormy water flows claimed several human lives. Local residents consider the storm the strongest in recent years. Prolonged downpours have also caused massive flooding in the state of Barinas and other parts of Venezuela. There were many houses and roads in the flood zone. Asia, on August 13th, deadly floods hit Afghanistan after heavy rains. More than 30 people died. The main blow fell in the province of Parwan. More than 60,000 hectares of farmland went underwater, further aggravating the humanitarian crisis in the country. On the same day, in Sichuan province, China, the bed of a dried-up river in which tourists camped was filled with water in a matter of minutes. Rushing torrents carried away people who were taken by surprise. 2 days earlier, residents of Shaanxi province suffered from the most powerful rains this year. Unfortunately, people died here too. Eyewitnesses of what is happening say that they have never seen such a strong flood in their lives. On August 13th, rain caused by tropical storm Mulan caused a dam on the Myanmar-Thai border to burst. Several cities were underwater.
In Myanmar, towards the western hills, and about 37 kilometers from Masai district, there is an earthen dam with pipeline running through it for water to pass into Pongtu in Myanmar. This dam has been breached, causing the reserved water above the dam to overflow. Therefore, since last night, August 12th, the water levels in Masai have increased. What happened was that the dike along the river was used to keep water levels under control. It was breached and water overflowed into the streets and people's homes. In some parts, the water was at waist and chest levels.
A day earlier, the same storm passed through the northern regions of Vietnam. Unfortunately, there are dead and missing. There are already some effective technologies that can help save people in emergencies. For example, a rescue drone that can be used regardless of weather conditions. Thanks to a multitude of sensors, it finds survivors very quickly. A vehicle with an autopilot can detect debris underwater during flooding, help people get out of the water, and it can deliver supplies. A snake robot and a crawler robot can detect gas leaks, and owing to built-in microphones and speakers, it can help communicate with survivors in hard-to-reach places. Developed together with NASA, Finder technology can detect breathing and heartbeat in 1 minute, even through 9 meters of concrete, and it can help find up to 5 people at once. The multi-purpose complex Voskhod is a unique development which has no equivalent in the sphere of emergency management as it is capable of calculating the required number of rescuers and equipment, determining the required amount of funding for a rescue operation, victim support, and recovery work. A unified rescue service is the real way out in the face of growing cataclysms, and we can create it in the format of a creative society.